So this is gonna be a tarot reading, specifically meant for me, but if anyone is watching, and there's something that resonates with you, then feel free to take that message. But the question that I would like to ask for this reading is just, what do I need to hear right now? So shuffle. I'm using the Antique Anatomy Tarot. I don't remember who it's by. One thing that I like to do when I read tarot is take the... So the way I shuffle, I feel the need to explain this. I shuffle 3 times and until the bottom of the deck is upright. So I will, if it's reversed, I will just shuffle another 3 times until it is upright on the bottom. Anyways, I hope that made sense. I also generally don't take reversals when doing readings. Lately though, that has not been the rule, but I don't think I will be taking reversals for this reading. I think just upright cards. Yeah, so what do I need to hear right now? Judgment. Ooh, the Star. This means nothing to anyone who doesn't know anything about tarot. Ooh, the Wheel of Fortune. The Ace of Cups. And on the bottom, we have the Queen of Wands. I take the bottom as sort of an overall vibe for the row. Whatever message comes out with that row. I feel like I have to look at the Six of Swords. I was gonna say before the Ace of Cups came out that there is a lot of major arcana. And if for anyone who might be watching who doesn't know anything about tarot, major arcana represent sort of major events in one's life. The tarot, the major arcana in and of itself is sort of a journey, with the Fool being like the person that goes through that journey. And the Fool is the first card in the major arcana, but I digress. 3 major arcana and then the Ace of Cups. Okay. With the Queen of Wands being here as sort of the overall energy, I guess you could say, of this message, of this particular row, all together, it's very much giving stepping into one's, not quite authenticity, but stepping into one's, stepping into the power of stepping into one's authenticity, if that makes sense. It's very much owning oneself and owning like who you are, and yeah, it's being unapologetically yourself. or rather, more specifically, it's stepping into that energy of being unapologetically yourself or oneself. I think that with Judgment and the star here, there was some sort of eye-opening event that sort of shone a light on Queen of Wands. I'm reading this as if this isn't this isn't intended to be about me. But in case this is for someone else, I guess. I don't know. I think though it took sort of some time to step into this self-love, because the Ace of Cups, although like a lot of readers will interpret that as an expression of love, or feelings of love, whether that be romantic or platonic, it can also be a card of self-love. I'm suddenly forgetting what it looks like in the traditional tarot illustrations, but I wanted to bring that up because I think it's a cup that's overflowing, but I could be completely wrong. But that's the image that is sort of coming to mind, is a cup overflowing. And I don't know, the vessel, the cup, can be a representation of oneself, especially when we sort of think about it in the context of like offering someone love, or having that, or expressing to someone love. I think though this is centered on the self, especially given that this is meant to be a reading for myself. And court cards to me, so court cards are the Page, Knight, Queen, and King. Those cards often are representative of particular characteristics or energies of like people specifically. And Queen of Wands, I just use the pronoun she and her because it's a queen. I take this gender neutrally. The Queen of Wands is, again, unapologetically herself. She is authentic, and she is unafraid to be herself, unafraid to be a certain way, unafraid of other people's perceptions of her, because she is so rooted in her own perception of herself, if that makes sense. So what else? Four of Cups. I know, like, me showing it to the camera doesn't really help because it's not very clear, but the Ten of Wands. Five of Pentacles. This is not a great row so far. The Magician. Very interesting. And on the bottom, oh gosh, is that gonna focus? It did for the Magician. You can't read it. It's the Ten of Pentacles. Okay. I don't like this because I don't want to say that I think this isn't about me anymore. I don't want to say that someone has manifested like a not so great situation for themselves, but it almost seems as though someone's choices, rather someone's actions or even inaction, because we have the Four of Cups, oh gosh, which is a card of distraction, of contemplation, of pause in a lot of ways actually. But very heavy on like the distraction. It can also be a card of like daydreams. I'm picturing the traditional illustration, which is in the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck, which is of a person who's sitting under a tree, who has their eyes closed, their arms crossed, and with 3 cups sitting in front of them, with like the divine or God or whoever holding out a 4th cup to them, and because their eyes are closed, they don't see that. They're sort of just focused on the 3 cups in front of them. So I feel like there is something very heavy on someone's mind, and it's not putting them in a very like great position regarding how they perceive themselves. This could also, well, okay, the overall energy is the 10 of Pentacles reversed, which is not great to see regardless, but I think that with the Magician, if I could pick it up, I think that with the Magician, this is a card of intention, of manifestation. It's a card about where and what you put your energy into. The illustration on the Magician in this particular deck is sort of standing out to me quite strongly, and I guess I'll just keep holding it up, but it's of a hand, right, reaching for something. You very clearly see, well, not clearly because the lighting in here is awful, but you can kind of see that the hand is reaching for something, right? The infinity sign in this case is really giving like reaching through multiple spaces of time, multiple spaces of space, but almost like reaching for something. How do I explain this? Now, I am not necessarily one to believe in past lives, but the Magician in this case is very much reaching for something, reaching for the same thing in each life, in each reincarnation, in each, you know, it's endless, it's forever, which is not great. It's not great to necessarily see in context of these other cards, because it comes across as a very long and arduous journey. The good thing I think here is that with the Four of Cups which is a card that can talk about contemplation. It's out here with the Ten of Wands, which is a signal of, so I guess to give some context, there's the major and then there's the minor arcana. The minor arcana are what you would maybe typically associate with like playing cards. So there's 1 through 10 and then the court. In the minor arcana, 10s always represent the ends of cycles, or the ends of, cycles. And so the Ten of Wands being here, paired with the Four of Cups, it's sort of giving contemplation of something that is coming to an end. And it could be that the Five of Pentacles is what is coming to an end, that perception of oneself that, so I didn't even explain what this card meant. The Five of Pentacles, I see it as a card of lack, of feeling like one is lacking something. For me, it's also a card of not feeling deserving of something, or whether one deserves something just generally. It's a card of doubt. It's a card of defeat in some ways. So I don't really know if this Five of Pentacles is a reaction to whatever this ending that's coming is, or if the ending is of this Five of Pentacles. The Ten of Pentacles, oddly enough, with it being reversed, it's giving, so usually when it's upright, it's a card that talks about the life, I guess you could say. It's the happy home, it's the fulfillment, it's, what's the word? Stability, and how, there's another like sort of description that is just on the tip of my tongue. I'm trying to remember. Foundation is a key word when it comes to the Ten of Pentacles. It's a card of a home, you could say. With it being reversed, you would think that it's, you know, in this context, it's not necessarily good. But I almost am getting this feeling of like potential from this Ten of Pentacles being reversed, as in potential for something to, you know, become the life. While it may not be that, you know, the life that we want just yet, I think that, I don't know, I'm just getting this weird energy of just something having the potential to be what it is that we want and or need. I don't know if that made any sense, but I think the whole potential thing is really here because of the Magician. I think the Magician is really lending to that energy. Overall, regardless of what this Four of Cups, or regardless of in what way the Five of Pentacles is showing up here, I think that there is some sort of energy being built, some sort of drive or inspiration being built to reach for something that someone really, really desires with the Magician here. I feel like grabbing another row, so we will do that. can pick it up. The Seven of Cups. The Page of Swords. Hello? Okay, whatever. So this is actually a great moment to explain another thing that I like to do in my shuffle. Whenever I get, or whenever more than one card jumps out, I don't take them. I don't look at them. I like my cards to come out one at a time. So the Knight of Wands. Interesting. Justice. Ooh. Ooh boy. Okay. And Two of Cups. I will explain in a moment why I am reacting this way, but for anyone who knows tarot, you know. Oh, you're kidding me. Underneath that was the Four of Wands. I can't say some of the things that I want to say. Goodness. I don't even know how to start this. One interpretation of these cards jumps out to me immediately, and it's not leaving a lot of room for other interpretations, if I'm being honest. I think though that someone has made a choice. Someone has made a choice, and let me explain why I think so. Because the Seven of Cups is a card about options. In the context of romance, that's always, I feel like the Seven of Cups is kind of seen as like a boogeyman, or a boogie card, if you will. But it's a card of choice. It can be also a card of daydreams, but it's a card of having options and considering all of those options. The Page of Swords coming out after that, the Page of Swords to me has always been a card of getting something into one's head, if that makes sense. So when I think about the Page of Swords versus the Knight of Swords, the Page of Swords is more that card of having the thought, and the Knight of Swords is more the card of conveying that thought. Also, swords are the suit of like thoughts of the mind, and so that's why I interpret those cards that way. And so with these two cards coming together, the Page of Swords and the Seven of Cups, it's like, how can you not see that? Or how could I not see that as someone having made some sort of decision? And speaking of a knight, we have the Knight of Wands, right? I think that someone is going to act on this decision. And I say that because the knights, to me, are always that card of action. They are the cards of doing, I guess, actively doing, with it being the wands suit, the wands are representative of passion. They are representative of heart, of I guess I want to say one's core, but that's very vague. Spirit, almost one's own spirit. And so if we think about like one's spirit, we as humans can be quite impulsive, right? And when you pair that with drive, with, you know, action and forward moving energy, you have something that's the Knight of Wands is very impulsive, or it can quite be. With it being the Page of Swords, it doesn't feel very well thought through, if I'm being honest. This very much comes across as you know, someone who makes a decision and immediately acts on it without sort of thinking too hard about the logistics of it, which guilty is charged, but it's whoever is doing this, because I don't know who this is about anymore. Oh, you're joking. I'm with these last two rows, I'm seeing this first row completely differently now. I won't get into that right now, but Justice is a card of, well, I feel like the name is kind of self-explanatory, but it's a card about bringing something into balance and doing it out of, I'm getting this energy of like doing it out of one's own volition. Of course, the context in this row, the other cards in this row kind of add to that, but Justice is generally a card of like a situation or a state of being, mainly situations, coming into either balance or someone is getting what they deserve. I don't know why this particular interpretation is sticking itself into my head, but there are some cases where Justice can indicate legal stuff, I guess. I don't really know why that's coming to mind. Two of Cups being the overall energy of like this. I just shake my head. The Two of Cups is like the card of romantic connections. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. It is a card of, generally it's a card of connections, but that can just be anything really. It's a card of heart to heart connections, I guess you could say. Connections where it's two souls meeting rather than two people, if that makes sense. Like this goes beyond superficial or goes beyond the surface. The Two of Cups for me is the card of connections that are quite significant, quite deep. The Three of Cups is the card of, you know, for me at least, more superficial connections, more surface level connections. But the Two of Cups, that's how I see it. And so what else am I supposed to think when I see this row? This row really does come across as someone who has made the decision to right their wrongs in a particular connection, And if it just so happens to be that the energy of the second and third row are one and the same, then this first row I sort of see now as someone I feel like coming to terms with some feelings that they have in some whatever way, shape, or form. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. This could also indicate like another person. So if the energy that's present here is not this one, then this could be someone outside of them, but it could also be themselves. Did that make any sense? God, I hope that made sense. I'm not gonna lie, this makes me miss reading for other people, but this is a very specific situation, I think. It's a very specific energy, at least. I tried to convey it as well as I could. I am having a hard time. Well, okay, the original question, right, was what do I need to hear, and what does, if there's anyone watching and or listening, what do maybe you need to hear? But that seems to be what we need to hear. I hope someone at least got something out of this. I don't know what to make of what I got out of this, but I guess if anyone's watching and you would like a personal tarot reading, I wouldn't mind giving you one. Although I would like to say that I reserve every right to decline requests for reading. I hope you guys will understand. Yeah. I would just like to say, to the energy that was present here, to the person who has been contemplating all of this and has made their decision, good on you. And I know I laugh at that, but I don't mean that very lightly. This second row was a tough energy, I'm sure, to have been in. To question your worth, to have to sort of really go through something that weighed heavily on you and put you maybe in a position of just imbalance, or like feeling like you don't have the strength to sort of stand on your feet. It takes a lot to, you know, overcome that and to choose to, with the Magician, I don't know, reach for the word salvation wanted to come through. But it doesn't have to be as dramatic as that. Good on you. Choices are very difficult to make, I have to admit. So I am patting you on the back from all the way over here. And yeah,